But I wanted to excise the part of me that was like beating myself up for like caring about somebody who was uncaring.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Wait, what's the reason?
Okay,
What's
so there
what's
was
the reason.
reason.
So for me, I was like, I'm fine. I'm doing fine. Like I don't need to go to therapy. And I didn't. I didn't go to therapy until I was going through a divorce, and then I was like, okay, I really need to talk to somebody.
So it was that kind of thing where you felt like this is a struggle, and I need.
Yeah. You know, it was probably like new feelings that I hadn't had. You know, I mean, no matter whether you want to be married or don't want to be married, like a marriage is just like a death, and it's really, really painful for everybody involved. And you know, and you kind of can't see a way through it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it feels very much like you're going to feel horrible for the rest of your life. So I think the big thing I was working on is like, am I going to feel this bad forever? I can talk about this now because it's been a long time, but I just remember like I would be fine, and then I would get in the car and I would cry all the way to work, and then I'd get out and I'd wave at everybody and smile, and then I'd get in the car and I'd cry all the way home. And I was like, but like it wasn't a decision. It was just I was so sad.
Yeah.
And you know, just talking to a therapist, you know, like gradually helped, you know, kind of work through all that emotion, which can be unbearable. And if you're not someone who's comfortable with emotion, can feel again like a death, like can completely like fling you into dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't because I was on TV, so I had to be like smiley pants. You know,
What were you on at that point?
I was on the talk. Yeah, it was brutal.
So you had to really like turn it off
man,
and turn it
just
on.
Glittery, smiley, you know, and also like I mean, I don't speak a lot about that, but I think it's instructive because I have other friends that are going through similar situations. Like, you know, I was really trying to move through it with kindness. I really wanted it to be I wanted to be kind to my spouse. I wanted to be kind to myself. I wanted to model for my family and for other people a way of moving through the end of a marriage that wasn't destructive or cruel, and try to do it without anger. You know what I mean? And sometimes those feelings come up even when you don't want them to. And so I was really trying to stay compassionate. And so that just fills you up with another set of emotions, which is just intense sadness, intense pain, and like just feelings of loss all the time, you know? And I think for people that are listening who are going through the end of a long relationship, it's very hard to know both that you love someone and that you shouldn't be with them anymore. Do you know what I mean? Those things are and so maybe that was the breakthrough that I had in therapy, was like, how can you love someone so intensely and also know so specifically and acutely that you don't want to be in that relationship anymore? How do you reconcile those things? They don't make any sense. If you love someone, you should want to stay together.
Not so simple.
It isn't that simple.
No.
It isn't that simple. And so I was very much like, I was bewildered. I was like, how can I feel both things at the same time? How can both of these things be true?
Right. So you had that internal conflict
Yeah.
that was like,
There's
were
something
you
wrong
struggling
with me.
with? Right. Oh, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and I want too much, and I'm a bad person, and I'm a bad woman. How can you, if you love somebody, you should stay with them. I'm very loyal. I have a very, like, that's pretty much like my core personality trait.
So that was
my
probably
core sense, is that I'm a very loyal person, and I stick with people, and I stick it out. And so to want to leave something when I love the person and ostensibly they haven't done anything wrong, like what's wrong with you? You want too much. You know what I mean?
But you got past that.
I did. I did. Yeah. You know, it turned into an asshole. Woo. No, that's not what happened.
No, it's an inside job. It's about learning how to see things.
Well, just knowing that you deserve to be happy.
And you're not doing him any favors.
No.
By being with him if you really want to.
No, and he was a good person, and we just wanted different things, and everybody should get what they want. You know what I mean? Everybody should get what they want. And I don't even think that's a narcissist perspective. I just think you only have one life.
It's not. And I don't think, and again, the term narcissist, it's thrown around entirely too much.
Yeah.
And
it's overused.
I mean, there's something called narcissistic personality disorder, and that's a personality disorder, and that's like legit. And you're going to know if you're dealing with somebody who has it. Believe me.
I've met them. Yeah.
You probably have met some because of where you are.
I have met a couple of people who are, their narcissism is so extraordinary that it's riveting. Like, you can't even be mad. You're like, oh, wow, you are
something to
really
watch.
Sick. This is crazy. You have no idea who you are or what your relationship to the world around you is.
So have you seen people like that at work or in your personal life?
In my personal life, at work, you know, I mean, they're everywhere. It's not just Hollywood.
Yes.
Right? but the close proximity of this business.
Yeah.
And I think you could find other lines of work where you'd have this kind of proximity. I don't know, working on an oil rig or, being an astronaut, something where you're with someone all day, every day for many, many hours. So your intimacy with their behavior becomes just much, there's much more closeness. And so you're getting like the granularity of their personality. I mean, everybody has jerks at work, right? But
yes,
spending like 16 hours with somebody every day for
different.
6 months.
And plus they're putting all of their things on the table and like all of their emotions and everything.
And then there are certain businesses that reward outsized personalities, or at the very least don't work to corral them in any way. So they can really like bloom. They can blossom.
Right.
The narcissism can really like reach its full potential.
Yes, it allows it. So, okay. So after your divorce, then you wrote a book.
I wrote a book right around in there, but it was actually, I think, before the divorce.
Oh, before the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And about your dating mistakes.
Oh no, it wasn't about my dating mistakes. It was a book about failure.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So there were some dating mistakes in there because sure, I failed in a variety of venues, but the book was really about embracing risk and embracing failure, and about how I would have people come up to me and go, I want to be a comedian or I want to be a writer, but I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And I was like, well, let me just break it to you right now. You are going to fail. There's no way to make any kind of progress, to make any advancement. There's no way to get to where I am now without abject continual failure. They are twins. They are married. You must try. You will fail. You will learn. You will get back up again. You'll go again. You cannot learn from success. You can only learn from failure. And success is not the absence of failure. It's persistence through failure. And so then I had a podcast at the time. I had a podcast for 5 years called Girl on Guy, where I got to interview lots of really exciting luminaries, Anthony Bourdain and Charlize Theron and Viola Davis and my mom and Chris Rock. And I would always ask them to tell a self-inflicted wound story, which is a story about something that had gone wrong in their lives that had been their own fault. So it couldn't be like something that happened to them, but something that the call was coming from inside the house. And it was kind of, on its face, a way to humanize these people that seem, inhuman, that seem perfect, like they've fallen from the sky. But it was also a way to illustrate, that just imperfection is the engine. Imperfection and flaws and failure are the way that you get tough and the way that you understand yourself and the world. So then the book was, after I'd asked 220 people to tell that story, I decided it was probably only fair that I do it myself. So it was just a collection of those stories and kind of little takeaways from all of them about, mostly it was for comedy. I just wanted people to laugh at me, but also to say like, here's what I got from this experience, and here's what you can take something that might turn into fodder for therapy. I embarrass myself and I can't stop thinking about it, into, here's what I got out of it. And like, one of the stories was that I had a really intense fear of going on stage with my fly down. And it was, it was unnatural. It was bordering on obsessive. And so frightened that was going to happen to me and everyone's going to laugh at me and it was going to be really embarrassing. And then one day I was on the toilet when they called my name, like the guy before me hadn't shown up, and I was literally like sitting on the toilet, and I was hearing them call my name for like the last time, and I sprinted out on stage and I started doing my material, and people were laughing really hard, but like not at the right places and not for the right reasons. And I finally realized that it wasn't just that, I was like gaping. Do you know what I mean? It was like not a subtle thing. And it was like that moment had occurred, right? And I froze, and I still had like another 10 minutes on stage. Like I couldn't run away. Also, I couldn't run away for a variety of reasons. You know what I mean? Like that would be a bigger injury than the one that was happening. And I just zipped it up and said, I thought you guys were my friends. And I kept going. And then that was it. That fear was gone. So that was like immersion therapy by accident, right? But it just proves like these things that you fear are not going to kill you. And in fact, embracing them removes that chink in your armor, right? And just makes you tougher.
Yeah, you are filled with gems.
That's so nice.
Like they're spilling out like so many. It's like there are so many things that I want to talk about that you said, because they are really all gems, and these are a lot of the things that I like to share with people too. So it's so good. I don't even know where to start. So the self-inflicted failure is so, because people don't think
that they did it to themselves.
No. And that's the whole trick, is to see. And the good news about that is that it means that you have agency.
Right.
Right? If you're a victim of outside situations or other people, good luck to you fixing it.
Right.
But if it comes from you, then guess what? It's in your hands.
Right. Absolutely. And even if that person is a jerk, like that can be true too. Like I've had some people in my life that, I used to tell a lot of my friends, like I would have these friends and they weren't good friends. And I'm so loyal. I'd be like, why am I so stupid that I love this person and they don't love me back the way I think they should be loved? And why do I still love them? And then I would just be like, well, my love is my own. Like I can love somebody and it doesn't have to be requited, but I do need to remove myself from the situation that's making me feel like crap.
Yeah.
Right? And not turn it into this like, oh God, you're so dumb. Why do you love people who are bad? And be like, well, you can't really control that. You're a loving person, so you love them. But then you just love them from far away because when you love them any closer, like you get injured.
Okay. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I feel like the narrative that you're dumb because you fell for the wrong person is unfair.
Okay, it's not. You're also not dumb. You did it for a reason.
Right. Well, either to learn something or because you saw something in them or whatever. And I can't wait to hear what the reason is.
Yeah.
But like there have definitely been friends in my life where like I was like, geez, like this person is so horrible. But there was some part of them that like sparked something in me, or they were fun to be around, or they were exciting at the time. And then I realized like this is not good for me and I have to get away. But then I'd still be like, I still love that person. What does that mean? Well, because I'm just a loving person. I don't see them anymore because that was bad. That was bad for me. And painful, and they can't learn and they never listen. And why am I talking still? But I wanted to excise the part of me that was like beating myself up for like caring about somebody who was uncaring.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Wait, what's the reason?
Okay,
what's
so there
what's
was
the reason.
reason.
That happened?
So I would have to know what your personal reason was. I would need to know more about why. So it probably has something to do with relationships in the past or beliefs that you have had your whole life. And so you entered a relationship with somebody who really wasn't deserving of your love.
And these were all platonic, like friends, like really close friends, not lovers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right.
Also interesting. A little different.
Yeah, because I was in my marriage from like 19 to 40 something. So
that's a long time.
I met my ex-husband in college. With my whole adult life. So all of these people I'm talking about were like really, really close friends, which I think is a different kind of conversation than a lover.
Yes, it is. But also like no wonder also it was so loaded, your divorce also from 19 to 40 something. There's so much in there.
I spent more time with my ex-husband than I did with my parents. Do you know what I mean? Like incredibly formative. Like some of the most formative years of my life. And I have nothing but good things to say about that relationship, that experience. Like a wonderful person that I will always love. And I really feel like I want to always be like a loving person. Yeah. That's just like after loyalty, and maybe loyalty and loving are like the two. It's just a nice
loyalty is tricky.
Loyalty is tricky.
Yeah, like loving is good, and all those things with your friendships that you're saying, like, well, why do I still care about this person? Like, I'm not going to label that as bad, like, because I do think you are a loving person. That is a good thing, and it is a little different because it's friendships you're talking about. And as long as you've put the boundaries up and you've kind of stepped away and realized, oh, this is hurting me, and then you're no longer getting hurt, but you still have a positive feeling towards them, like nothing wrong with that.
Right, and then also because the other way is that you're carrying around resentment, which I'm just not interested in doing.
No.
Like, it's just a waste of energy. It's a waste of time being pissed at somebody and whatever. They're off skipping down the street. They're some golden retriever puppy. They've moved on to the next thing and you're still pissed about it. And what does that get you?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I'm so interested though. I do want, like, the therapist in me wants to dive deeper. We're not going to, but to figure out what the loyalty is all about.
I mean, no, we can do it for 2 minutes. But I mean, it is a fun, like really close friends of mine. I'm like, this is my fundamental, I don't know what there's a word for it. Like
flaw?
Not flaw, like like the quality, the way you see yourself, right? Like your fundamental kind of
piece like your identity.
Yeah, like an element of my identity. The way that who I believe I am is that I'm a loyal person.
So you value that quite a bit.
I value that really highly.
And you are that.
And I am that. Like, for example, I've been with the same manager, the same publicist, the same lawyer for my entire career, over 2 decades. I've shifted agencies, but that's very much the nature of the business. But like everybody else in my life has been in my life since I started. It's very hard for me to put somebody down.
Okay, so did you ever want to switch and didn't, or do you feel like they've been the right person for you?
There have been like kerfuffles and blips, but I believe in investing in someone, and I believe that like I just believe in engaging and investing. And if, and it's not about, I picked the right person and I'm great. Like I did pick the right person, but also they've grown with me and we've grown together and I've invested in our growth. Like we've done that as a team. You know what I mean? So
that's a really positive attribute. That's a positive demonstration of loyalty.
Okay. Versus
right?
like
if they're worthy of it,
yeah.
and you don't need to change to something else, and you see the value and you invest in the value, that's a good thing.
Yeah, like we bet on each other, right? Like I bet on you, you bet on me. Like we built something together.
Yeah,
you know
people
what I mean?
don't do that often.
No, I think everybody. I think people are like the world owes me.
Especially less and less as the world moves forward.
Right, towards like AI and whatever. I don't know.
But so has it been? Is it to a fault? Your loyalty. That's the question.
I think as I've gotten older, the parts of it that have been to a fault I've worked on. So like I've put, I have a really good friend that I mean, like you're going to see this theme of loyalty in all of my life. Like my two closest friends from home, I've known since the 8th grade, and they're still my two closest friends. And then my two closest friends from college, like, I have friends and like they've just been there. They haven't gone anywhere. Like when I go home, I spend time with guys I've known since I was 13. And one of them was my best friend, was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. Like, I'm loyal. But one of my friends, he always goes, you have to prune to grow. That's the one.
Okay, that is a yes. You do have to prune to grow.
Yeah.
But you're pruning the dead
delicately, very like bonsai style. So as I've gotten older, I've been like, okay, and now this sounds mercenary. Because I don't think relationships have to be 50-50, and I'm talking about friendships. But I do think they can't be 90-10 all the time. There has to be at some point, some moment where the other person shows up for you. It can't just be you showing up for them all the time. So those people that I've had in my life where I felt like I loved them and I showed up for them and I supported them, but then when I needed them, they weren't available to me, I have let those people go. Mostly through attrition. It hasn't been a table flip. I just, slowly kind of fade because I'm also like not really excited about confrontation or conflict because I don't have any energy for that. I'm like, I have to make art. I can't be yelling at you.
Okay, so I do think the conflict, the distaste for conflict is probably tied to loyalty also. Yeah. Agree. Again, I have to go back to something you just said, and then I want to go something forward based on that. I don't want to lose either one. So before, when you said, oh, shoot, I'm losing it already. Friendships, they don't have to be 50-50. So I agree with that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot you'll see on social media of like, oh, it should be, they should be doing exactly what you do for them. And it's not true. And it doesn't mean that it's unhealthy if it varies or even if it's a little bit in a different way, because some people they're a little bit more, they initiate more things and others don't, and they have to come out of their shell. And so sometimes you get that dynamic. Doesn't mean the friendship is bad, but absolutely if it's 90-10, all the time.
Forever.
No good. Yeah. Move on. Okay, that was the one thing. Okay, here's my question for you about loyalty. So have your friendships and sticking with the same people, have they kind of held you back from creating new relationships with people?
So that's a really good question. The answer is no. I will say that I had this, and this is a nice nugget for people that are younger than you and I had this burst of experiences where all of a sudden I just made like a million new friends. Oh my God, you guys are popular. That's so obnoxious. Where we made a lot of new friends. And I do think that I have some people in my life who have had a harder time with that. And they were like, God, you seem like you made a lot of new friends. And I was like, well, I guess just when I started to think a lot more about what I wanted my life to look like, I started to just put myself out there more. And maybe putting down some of the negative friendships allowed me to form new friendships, sure. But like at this point in my life, I have formed lots of new interesting friendships.
Okay,
yes,
so that's good.
Really
so it hasn't limited you.
No.
Which I was kind of digging around to see, well, where has the loyalty held you back?
Yeah.
But it hasn't. And putting yourself out there is so important, and people are so afraid of it. I'm going to go back to something you said earlier about fear, because I do think it's important to talk about fear, because that drives so much of everybody's behavior.
Right. And like insecurity, right? Like, which they're the same thing, I think. Right.
Insecurity. So I used to say like, oh, what do people see you for therapy for? Like, what what's your specialty? And it's like, well, self-esteem
Mhm.
and relationships, because
Mhm.
those are the things.
Yeah.
It all boils down to relationships and self-esteem.
Mhm.
Like it really almost does.
Yeah.
And fear, though, is the driver for
Right,
everybody, or
right.
not necessarily everybody, but it is so true that it will. And so loyalty too, I would attach to fear a bit in normal circumstances, but I don't see it with you, which is why I'm like, I feel like I want to dig, but I'm not seeing that as a theme.
So I don't know that I can like confidently or fully explain like why loyalty is so important to me, but I will say how it has served me, which is that it's reduced uncertainty in certain aspects of my life so that I can live in uncertainty in other parts, right? Like, for example, the people that I've known since I was a kid don't care what I do for a living, aren't like glamorized by it, they're curious about it in the way that they're curious about what everybody else is doing, but they're not like enamored of it. So I can just be myself around them, right? And there are people that have known me since I was a really dorky, really funny looking kid on a skateboard, and I never have to perform for them, and they really could care less. Like, they'll show up if I ask them, but they're not like, can I go to the Hollywood premiere? They're like, they don't care. Like, let's go get a pizza.
Right.
So like, it's really allowed this level of kind of like self-confidence. I know who I am. I have people around me who know who I am. I can be that person. I don't have to put on airs.
Yeah.
And so then I can go out into the other part of the world, which is demanding that I put on airs, and it doesn't like, it won't change me. And I mean, I need a better word than change me, because that sounds like, oh, you changed. But more like, if you come into a business like this and you don't know who you are, and you're looking at all these totems and examples of what you should be, how you should look, how your hair should look, what you should wear, who your friends should be, it's very easy to quickly lose a sense of self, right? And be chasing an ideal that is impossible to accomplish. And you can get lost really, really fast. Not just because you're surrounded by this. I think our culture surrounds us with it as well. It's all Instagram, and this is how to be happy, and this is how to be popular, and how to be famous, and how to be beautiful. But you're not allowed to form your own opinion. Your opinion is being formed for you, right? And you see someone who's doing what you want to do, and you think, well, to be there, I've got to do that. And quite frankly, there's no recipe, and there's no way to get there doing the way that person did it, because they did it the way it's not repeatable. These paths are not repeatable. But if you don't know who you are, very quickly you're like, well, I don't have the right suit, and my lipstick is bad, and I'm a bad person, and I'm going to fail.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's a relentless message. It never goes away. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. It will haunt you to the day you die, especially if you are a woman.
Yes, but it never got to you.
No.
Good for you.
That's too confident a response. It's in there, but I feel like I have the fundamentals to fight it. Right. I tell this story all the time, but I was on the red carpet like years ago, and the guy asked me what shoes I was wearing, and I said some very fancy designer. I was very proud of myself. I was very young. I had very little money, and he's like, "Whoa, well, why not Jimmy Choo?" And I was like, "You gonna fucking buy me shoes? What are you talking about?" Like, first of all, I don't even know who you are, but why are you shaming me from the shadows of a red carpet? Like, and that is the business. Why not this thing? Why not more expensive? Why not YSL? Why not $1,000 purse? Why not a $3,000 purse? How can you win that battle?
Yeah.
It's unwinnable. So the only way to win is not to play.
Right. Is it hard not to play when you're at the level of success that you are?
It's easier not to play now because I feel like I have a little bit of success, and so I can reject it, and I constantly reject it. But it's like an everyday. Like, if that was the work, if that was my practice, it's to constantly reject the idea that like I need to buy more, do more, wear more, carpet more. I'm in this period right now where I'm trying not to shop, and and I'm repeating outfits, and that's like heresy. I saw you in that suit 7 months ago. What human being on the planet isn't wearing an outfit twice? Like, what is this stupid metric? But then you think, oh, does this look like I'm not successful? I'm not getting photographed. I'm not getting, memed. Like, should I be doing more? But like, I want to be making art. I don't want to be thinking about my stupid outfit.
Yeah. And yet it's part of it's baked in.
It's baked into the job.
And
it's a constant kind of like, should I have been here when this person was taking a photo? Should I be like, should I have more famous friends? Should I be going with my famous friends and taking pictures with famous people? Like, what? what a waste of time.
What a waste!
What a waste
of time
and
is
energy.
So true.
It's beyond.
It's so true. But you're being bombarded by it all the time.
I
I'm
mean,
sure.
it'll be and I mean, imagine if I'm feeling it, how much more intensely someone might be feeling it if they were just starting out.
Yeah.
Like it feels like this thing that's completely out of reach.
It's so interesting. I see that you have these ideas about how you want to be in the world that are so high level that but you're conscious of them all the time. And so your actions have to fall into those goals that you have for yourself, or like those ways of being. It's really highly respectable. I totally respect it.
Thank you.
And can't be easy, but it's like you have these things like I want to have this divorce. I want to be divorced with compassion, and I want to be kind about it, and I don't want to do it with anger, and like that's a big goal. And this is one of those as well. And do you see that in yourself, that you do that?
I was thinking about it because I've been going through this period where this is very esoteric, where I'm trying to be more at ease. And that's the best way to explain it. Like I'm not an anxious person, but I am like super type A and like engine always on. And I always feel like I'm not doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like I'm doing this thing right now, but what I really need to be doing is this other thing. And I have like, I have a really long to-do list every day, and I'm totally dopamine addicted. I'm like, I checked it off. I got all my to-do list done today, and I know that's what's happening. But, and so I'm really working on, in my head, and I imagine people listening might understand this, in my head, I think everybody else is so relaxed, and I am the only one freaking the F out. I've dropped too many F-bombs in your show already. Do you know what I mean? Everyone else is just chill, and I'm losing it. So I've been, and it's been years of working on just trying to find a way to be at ease. Even when I'm stressed and it's a stressful situation. So a part of it is like, if I've got a plan and I'm executing against the plan, then I can be relaxed. But then also trying to say to myself that like, not everything has to get done today. Like being at ease is a part of how you get things done. Like, anxiety and stress is compromising your ability to perform at a high level. Rest is a part of performance. So that's been something I've been working on for like the last few years. It's just because my internal narrative is always like, oh God, you didn't do enough today. You didn't get enough done. And then I'm like, but who said what? Who are you talking to? Who set this level of like what has to be done? And I mean, I am very much like a type A, like running as fast as I can, wanting to accomplish as much as I can. I feel like I'm in a privileged position, and I want to leverage it for everything that I can. I don't want to feel like I left anything on the, like in my pockets, put it all out there in the field. That comes from probably being an athlete when I was younger, but also I feel this responsibility, and this is again, very esoteric and self-involved, but for other underrepresented women, I feel like I really want to create like a really wide pathway for people to come behind me, because I didn't have a lot of people doing what I'm doing now that I could point to and go, well, because people are like, well, no one's ever done that. You can't do that. And I had nobody to be like, well, what about her? So I'm really trying to create a space where other people can say, oh, and this is where I would score very high on that test, the egotism test, the narcissism test. I do feel like whatever I can do to make the space bigger for other women, I want to do it. For other underrepresented people, I want to do that, because I just want people like, I remember when I was younger, they go, who are your idols? Who do you admire? And they were all men.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
They?
Yeah, they were comedians, like Mark Maron and, Richard Pryor and Chris Rock, and like the guys that wanted to do what I wanted to do. They were all men. I was embarrassed by that. You know what I mean? I was very aware that like, even directorially, like all my heroes or directors are all men. And they're women now. I think there are more women now, but like there's so few of us.
Yeah.
So I just I guess I feel that if there's a pressure that I feel.
That's what I was going to say. You have put a lot of pressure on yourself.
I do. I very
like
much
a ton.
do. Yeah. Yeah. That's that if there was the one part of my narrative that's like stress driven, it's like if I didn't cold punch this morning. I didn't have my vitamins. I didn't do this. I didn't get 8 hours. I didn't turn this thing in. Like that's my, and I'm really working on like softening that part of my personality.
Right. But then, you have these like these internal like shoulds that you should be doing, like the sleep and like all those things. But you also have these bigger,
Huge.
huge
Yeah.
ideals about what kind of mark you want to make on the world and what you want to do for other people. And that's a lot. I
Right.
mean, they're wonderful that you have those and they drive you to do the things that you are, but at the same time that's a lot of pressure
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
holding every day.
Yeah. Yeah.